This 1 Degree Outside video is sponsored by the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest fair. You can pre-order your admission, meal, and ride tickets today at topsfieldfair.org and join the fun October 4th through 14th, conveniently located on Route 1, just off of Interstate 95.
Well, hello again and welcome to another Photos, Foliage, and Q&A segment. And look at this. I have company this time.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome. It's great to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I know you've been so busy with both our company and our family, and you are always everywhere. So to get you here and me here at the same time is an accomplishment.
It really is. It's going to be fun.
That's right. All right. You know what? Well, one of the first things that we always do is we start with foliage. And actually, we heard from someone recently who said, I can't find your foliage map anywhere. That's because it's right here.
Yeah, it's right here. And MJ wrote in to contact at 1degreeoutside.com and said, family coming in from London want to see the foliage map.
All right.
So here it is updated.
Let's do it. Let's get ourselves out of the way then and show you exactly what's going on. We'll bring you to the map. And you can see right now we are at peak color across a lot of northern New England. And then, of course, Danielle and I every single year go back and forth over exactly how we should classify the colors because I suppose, Danielle, it's different for everyone, isn't it?
It is. It is definitely in the eye of the beholder.
That's right. That's right. So I would say Merrimack Valley is moderate to high, and you said moderate. So you win.
I said moderate with pockets of high here and there.
I love it. Well, that sounds good. You know what? The only way we can ever settle that is if you send your pictures in. So keep them coming in. We'll start out with, you know what? We've been talking a lot about our sponsor, the Topsfield Fair, and there's a reason for that. You know, their help, their sponsorship, their support, their partnership has made it so that we can keep doing what we love to do and bring it to you. And Ed Hughes flies the Sky Ranger helicopter for NBC Boston.
And I love this shot. He took the aerial view of the Topsfield Fair. It's just a classic staple here, and we hope to see you at the fair. We're going to be out again tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., right in front of the Flower Barn.
That's right. Today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Today and tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Saturday will be out over the course of the evening after the kids wrap up with all their games, and we'll bring the crew. Meanwhile, Northern Lights were a big one. So many of you sent this in. This was just one of the collection we put out on social media. This out of Sebago Lake, Fry Island. Gorgeous display, Danielle.
Wow, I love those colors, and it was a short window for it, but we got some really beautiful pictures that came in.
Absolutely, and we're going to tell you how you can follow the Aurora Borealis for yourself coming up in just one moment.
Ooh, this beautiful shot was another gem from Lake Eden, Vermont, from Jeff, and I emailed him back, and I said, oh, this is gorgeous. Look at the clouds and the reflection, but who's that little guy on the rock right there? He said, that's my son, Bennett. So love this shot. Thank you for sending it in, Jeff.
That's awesome, Jeff. 2 weeks in a row sending in pictures. We really appreciate that you're thinking of us so often. Hearts Location, New Hampshire. This is Ellen, right, Danielle?
Yes, I love this reflection. Doesn't it look? That doesn't even look real.
No,
the glass
it doesn't.
The water's so still with the reflection of the foliage.
And you think I'm geeky for doing this, but I always love to do the research when I hear new things. I said, ooh, the Willie House. Let me look that up. So it turns out it's also called the Willie Cabin, but there's a story with it's kind of a sad story, which is that the family all lived there, and Mr. Willie, back in, I think it was like 1826, there was this huge storm in July, and it caused all this flooding. And so he said, all right, I'm going to create a cave for my family to keep everybody safe in case this ever happens again. Then the next month in August, there was an even worse storm. It caused a landslide, and it turns out there's a rock that was behind the Willie cabin. It split the landslide, saved the cabin, but unfortunately he had already taken his family into the cave, and the family was never heard from again. Totally true story. The only things to survive, the cabin and the dog that was in the cabin at the time.
Well, now I know about Willie's cabin.
Yeah, whether you wanted to know that story or not, right? All right, what do we got here?
This foliage shot was taken on October 4th in Franconia Notch, New Hampshire. Beautiful photo, Arlene. Thank you. Love the shot there.
And this does help us. The fact that we've got the dates on them when they get sent in to us, too, really helps a lot because it allows us to make the map and to know how things have kind of moved along since then. The North Main Woods, east of the Allagash.
Wow.
Mike, beautiful, vibrant color here. And, you know, sometimes when you get those clouds overhead, it really not only adds a nice texture, but it evens out the lighting a little bit. In this case, you had the splashes of sun, and it still looks absolutely beautiful. Great stuff. All right, Danielle, what's up next for us here?
Ooh, October 1st brought a beautiful shafts of sunlight over Long Beach in Centerville, Mass, said Eric. Just fantastic of the crepuscular rays.
Crepuscular
I
rays.
always say... You always tease me about
I like
crepuscular
too.
rays
yes,
coming
crepuscular
in.
rays.
Fantastic.
See, now that's kind of teasing that only a husband can do for a wife there. That's right. All right, next up, we're going out to Duxbury Bay. Of course, your sister got married here, Danielle.
I know. Duxbury Bay Maritime School, just fantastic looking out over the bay. Beautiful clouds and the orange shot there with the boats.
And still a lot of boats in the water right now, which is why we keep the coastal marine forecast coming on the weekends for now. You'll see it again on Friday. All right. And then you know what? You can always take us with you when you travel.
I love that.
Isn't that great? Kevin Kelly took us with him via the app. So you can grab the shot, send it in the Send to Us tab down at the bottom of the app. This is from the Lincoln Memorial out toward the Washington Monument. But fantastic shots. So you can do it both on our website, and, of course, you can also do it on the app as well. So we'll come back out on camera here, and you know what? We always go into the Q&A period right now, right? So you already talked about someone who reached out and asked about foliage. Well, that's not all. We actually heard a couple of different questions come in on Twitter from Dewey Hale about whether or not we think the government modification has anything to do with the hurricanes and everything goes on with that. And the answer to that is no, we don't. But having said that, one thing we can do is we can actually bring up, because I think that it's really important to talk about, what actually plays into kind of the thoughts that come out of this stuff. Some people call it conspiracy theory, call it what you want, but we're going to go ahead and bring up a weather modification project here. So this is actually from the government. You can find it, as a matter of fact. It's right on the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration from the Hurricane Research Division, and they talk about Project Storm Fury. Now, Project Storm Fury was going on for a long time, from the mid-1960s through the early 1980s, and essentially what Storm Fury did was it at least attempted to try to get in cloud seeding, which is when you can fly a plane in and you can release various, whether it's chemicals, particles, etc. And they were trying to disrupt the eye of the hurricane in that instance. It didn't work.
It failed. I was reading about it too. Yeah, they were essentially trying to make it, a little bit bigger so that it would become weaker, but the storm itself grew larger.
Yeah, that's right. And so, look, there have been government attempts in the past to try to modify the weather, but not in a way to ever create a hurricane. We can't do that. And really, sometimes we get misled because we see what's going on. For example, you looked up some of the worst and most deadly hurricanes recently, right? And what did you find?
So since in the mainland United States, the deadliest since 1950, so topping out on the list was Katrina, then Audrey in 1957, Camille in 1969, then, of course, Helene.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago.
And Katrina really kind of ranks lower when you look at the overall number of fatalities from hurricanes in history. So, for example, if you go farther back in time, and this is where we kind of as a society tend to forget about what we've been through, right? So if we go back in time, the Galveston hurricane, we lost 8,000 to 12,000 lives. It's estimated to be somewhere around there. That was at the beginning of the century. In 1899, we lost 3,400 lives here in the country because of a hurricane that hit. In 1893, we lost 2,000. Maria was in 2017. Huge loss of life there, just under 3,000. Most of that was in Puerto Rico, and that was a more modern one. But the Okeechobee hurricane in 1928 cost 2,800 lives. The Sea Islands hurricane of 1893 cost 1,000 to 2,000 lives. You can see where I'm going with this, right? The Indianola hurricane of 1875 cost 771 lives. In 1919, the Florida Keys hurricane. In 1881, the Georgia hurricane cost 700 lives. So where I'm going with this, of course, Danielle, is the fact that, look, we have been in a very, very active pattern recently. There's no question about that, right? We hear the talk about how climate change adds more energy to the ocean, which means that these storms can grow stronger. I don't think there's any question on that either. But to start talking about, because there are suddenly this onslaught of bad storms, is this something that's generated by man? No, there's centuries worth of data that proves that this is nature. And really, we have centuries worth of recorded data. We have billions of years on the planet that go back and prove this. So no need to worry about that. That is not something that's going on in terms of fabricating hurricanes. There were attempts to try and stop them before. If you go to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, are actually trying cloud seeding to create rain. They're trying to make it rain, but all of that is happening in the lowest few thousand feet of the atmosphere, what we call the troposphere, trying to get the rain to generate, and with mixed results. We'll see what happens here in the U.S. When it was tried back in the mid-1900s. It really didn't meet with a lot of success. So anyway, that was one of the interesting kind of questions that came up. Let's see. The other one here, was that it? Is that all our questions?
One of them was about Helene and just, the scope of the damage that was caused by Helene sent into our email, which,
that was from, I have it right here. Thank you. That's from someone with an email that starts with Auntie. But anyway, have you done any looking to Hurricane Helene? Why was it so horrific? How could a hurricane do all the devastating destruction to an area? Streets gone, houses floating, etc. I can't stop watching some of the videos. Looks just like what a tornado would do. I'm just curious. I know you guys have a lot to cover at 1 degree. So thank you for the question. Any answer?
Well, I mean, you think about something like a tornado, right, which is a really small scale disturbance, and then you put that where, obviously hurricanes can have tornadoes in them, but just the size of a hurricane, number one, in and of itself, causes that much more damage. You add in the fact that we have, the flooding, obviously the catastrophic flooding that occurred through North Carolina and the Tennessee River Valley with the inland flooding, and then you go to the coast, and it's always a different story with the storm surge and the inundation there and the strongest wind as the hurricane comes ashore. So there's a lot of different facets that cause a wider scope of damage.
And the worst news is, here in New England, we are not removed from that. So, for example, just over the past summer, we did a big hurricane simulation exercise for one of the largest internet providers in the nation and across the Northeast. And the simulation was a Category 3 landfalling hurricane, and what would it be like? And so what we did is we actually went back and researched a lot about the hurricane of 38 and then applied that to a modern-day scenario. Folks, things like 50% of the white pines in New Hampshire were brought down in the hurricane of 38. Can you imagine that? You'd be talking about outages that wouldn't just last for days. Remember the 11 days without power in the ice storm?
Oh, yeah.
No, that would be nothing. You'd be without power
That'd be
for
a
at
joke,
least
yeah.
a month, maybe 2 months in spots. You'd be talking about a 20 to 22-foot wall of water, storm surge, 22-foot high wall of water that would come into parts of Buzzards Bay. This would wipe entire parts of Buzzards Bay off the map, where we have multi-million-dollar homes, townhouses, condominiums, etc. This isn't like, ooh, it could happen. This is like it did happen back in the Great Hurricane of 1938, and it will happen again. And folks are going to say, oh my gosh, was this something, manufactured, or we've never seen this before? No, we've seen
It's
it.
happened before.
We've seen it.
It's
So
not
you
a
have
matter
to be
of
ready.
if. It is a matter of when.
That's right.
And
That's
you think if you just take a general overview of how our coastline has changed and thinking about the amount of houses and infrastructure that's there, that in itself is concerning.
Yeah, that's right. Look, we hope that you have enjoyed kind of this deeper insight and this deeper dive into what we're looking at and what we're hearing from you. At some point, we'll build it up enough that we won't have it just one solid image, although it's a beautiful image. We won't just have one solid image behind us the whole time. At some point, we'll build it in so that we have graphics and explainers, images, maps. But we're two people. We're a bootstrap startup, and we're working to get off the ground.
And for now, I just like chatting with you
That's
about it.
I love chatting with you too. Absolutely. So thank you. Keep the pictures coming. Remember, community gallery at onedegreeoutside.com, our send to us tab in the app. You can always, as Danielle mentioned, reach us at contact@onedegreeoutside.com or any of the social media channels. Our handle, the number 1 degree outside. Until then, I guess we'll see you at the Topsfield Fair, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.